These are such philosophical questions. We don't know where to begin and where to end and how to explain to this person. Allahu Akbar. Imam Abu Hanifa at that time was a child, probably 10 years old. Okay? Probably, he doesn't mention how old. Probably 10 years old. His father was with him. He asked his father's permission. His father said, stay quiet. There's huge ulama in front of you. In the first saf. There's ulama of the highest caliber in front of you. You stay quiet. You stay here, child. Imam Abu Hanifa, out of his eagerness, out of his love for deen, he stood up. He asked the Sultan's permission, Amir's permission, Caliph's permission. He said, will you give me the permission to speak and give the answers for these three? The Caliph said, go ahead. You answer the Christian. Allahu Akbar. What happened? The Christian replied. The Imam Abu Hanifa said to the question, he said to the Christian, are you the questioner or are you the questioned? Are you the one asking the question or the one that is being asked the question? Now, he was sitting on top. The Christian at that moment, he was asking the questions, isn't he? He was sitting on top like on the mimbar. And Imam Abu Hanifa was down there. So normally when a person is down there, he's asking the person who's in authority the questions to reply. He said, okay, I am the one asking the question. I am the one asking the question. So Imam Abu Hanifa said, therefore, I must be in your place and you must be in my place. You understand? As you're the questioner, you must come down to my place and I must come down to your place. So Imam Abu Hanifa as a child, he went and sat next to the Sultan. He went and sat next to the Amir, the Khalif of the time. And he's sitting on the mimbar and he's answering these questions. Allahu Akbar. So this is already, remember, one question's already dealt with. I'll tell you how. Imam Abu Hanifa said, okay. The Christian yet didn't understand what just happened. Imam Abu Hanifa sitting on the pulpit and he's saying, count. You know how to count? Count. The Christian, he started counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Imam Abu Hanifa immediately stopped him. He stopped. Wait. Count before 1. Perplexed completely. What is he telling me to do? Before 1, there's no number before 1. The numbers start off with 1. The numbers start off with 1. Abu Hanifa made him realize, he said, look, if this is a number that humans made, that's a metaphorical one. What about the real one? Actual one that created the heavens and the earth and everything in between. How could there be something before the actual one, the real one? Allah. Then he said, okay, as for your next question, you said, which direction does Allah face? He said, if I light a candle, Imam Abu Hanifa replied, if I light a candle in the middle of a room, which direction does the light go in? Christian replied, it goes in all 4 directions. It goes in all the directions. Imam Abu Hanifa replied, if that is a case for a metaphorical light, worldly light, that faces all directions, what about the light of the heavens and the earth? What about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Jalla Jalaluhu, Amma Nawaluhu? Allahu Akbar. His light is much more superior than a candle, isn't it? The light of Allah can never be comprehended by any human. It is far beyond our minds. As for the question, what is Allah doing now? He ascended the muwahhid, the one who is a believer in Allah. He ascended the one who is a believer, because Imam Abu Hanifa, remember, he came up to the pulpit. He ascended the believer, the muwahhid, and he degraded the Christian, the one who asked these dumb questions. Allahu Akbar. So there he left immediately. He understood the answers for those three questions and he immediately left the money and he started running off. He said, I won't be able to compete with these people. Allahu Akbar. That was the first story. Our second story is regarding qiyas. Many ulama have a problem with qiyas. What is qiyas? We as the people of the Hanafi, those who follow the Hanafi madhab, are deemed or called Ahlul Ra'i. The people, those ulama that use a lot of rational thinking. That's the easiest way I can put it. Rational thinking, intellect. They use a lot of intellect in Quran and Hadith. Because there are those who are a bit literalists. They want to understand Quran and Hadith literally. That becomes a massive problem as well. Okay? If you go completely rational, it's going to become a problem. Okay? Both are two extremes. Both are two extremes. We don't go to any of the extremes. We have to use both in order to solve the puzzle. What's the puzzle? Quran and Hadith. How to apply and solve problems. Because not all your problems are going to be in Quran and Hadith. You need to take out principles that you can apply, that you'll be able to solve problems day to day. So this is what the Imam's done. Now, here, Muhammad ibn Ali was the grandson of Rasulullah. We know the grandsons of Rasulullah to be Hassan and Hussain. After Fatima radiallahu anha died, Imam Ali radiallahu anhu, we say, we don't call Imam Ali, we say Ali radiallahu anhu. But anyway, you can say Imam Ali, there's no problem, as long as you're not going towards the Shia side. Yeah. Anyway, Muhammad bin Ali was a grandson of Rasulullah also, was the son of Ali radiallahu anhu. One of the other wives after Fatima radiallahu anha passed away. Whilst Fatima was alive, Ali radiallahu anhu did not marry anyone else. Whilst Khadija was alive, Rasulullah did not marry anyone else. Many brothers, many things, that's why. Anyway, later on he married multiple wives and then he had multiple children later on. Anyway, Muhammad bin Ali, he came to meet Imam Abu Hanifah. He knew that this person, all the people are saying that this person uses a lot of rational thinking. A lot of rational thinking, a lot of qiyas. He starts doing a lot of qiyas. Muhammad bin Ali said, I hear that you are someone that prefer qiyas, analogical reasoning, over hadith. Abu Hanifa immediately said, A'udhu billahi min dhalik. A'udhu billahi min dhalik. I seek the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from such things. Immediately. He said, come, sit down. He made him sit down and said, let me talk to you in respect. He sat in front of him with true humility, because now he's from the bloodline of Rasulullah. He's not anyone normal. He's not no normal human. This is from the bloodline of Rasulullah. This is the grandson of Rasulullah. He said, who is the weaker one? A man or a woman? Everyone knows the answer. The woman. He said the same answer. He said the woman. Abu Hanifa said, how much of inheritance does a man get compared to a woman? Imam, the grandson of Rasulullah, Muhammad bin Ali, said, of course, the woman gets half the share of the boy. The sister gets half the share of the son. Said, if I gave preference to qiyas, logical reasoning, remember, he said, woman is weaker or man is weaker? Woman is weaker, isn't it? Why does the woman get half and the man get double that of woman? You understand reasoning? This is logical reasoning. That if I gave preference to qiyas, then I would have said that the woman is supposed to get the double, whereas the man's supposed to get the half. Allahu Akbar. Now Muhammad bin Ali is already in shock. What example did he give? And he explained it to me in such simplicity. Allahu Akbar. The second question, what is more superior? Salah or fasting? Salah or Sawm? Let us Salah, of course. Muhammad bin Ali grandson of Rasulullah. He said, of course, Salah. There's nothing more superior than Salah. Imam Abu Hanifa said, when a woman is in menstruation, she is required to make up her fasts. Whereas Salah is more superior. If I gave preference to Qiyas over Hadith, I would have said that it is more worthy. It is more worthy of the woman making up all her Qada Salah in those 7 days or 10 days, 3 days or 4 days, whichever, however many days, 3 days to 10 days, those period days, she's supposed to be making Qada of her Salah over Qada of her fasting. If I was using logical reasoning, rational reasoning, I would have said Salah is more superior according to all Imams. There's no doubt about it, isn't it? Fasting is less superior than Salah. So if I gave preference to logical reasoning, then I would have said the woman in Hayd, the monthly period, she should be making up her Salahs, Qada Salahs, rather than making up her fasts. Fast in Ramadan, she has to make up, isn't it, later on in the year. Whereas Salah, on that 7 days or 8 days, she's not supposed to make them up. She doesn't need to make Qada of them. Allahu Akbar. The third question. Luckily, we have adults here. What is more impure? Urine or semen? Urine or semen? No. According to all the ulama, it's absolute agreement. According to all the ulama, urine is much more impure than semen. Urine is najis according to everyone. Filthy and impure according to everyone. All the ulama, without any disagreement. Whereas in semen, there's disagreements there. Some ulama said this and some ulama said that. We're not going to go into the ikhtilaf. He said, Imam Abu Hanifa replied, he said, if I gave preference of qiyas over hadith, I would have said every single time a person goes to do number one, what's number one? To go and urinate, he must make a ghusl. Isn't it? That's the logical way of thinking. Urine is more najis than semen. Therefore, after number one, you must make ghusl. But after semen, you don't need to make ghusl. If you make wudu, then it's fine. If I gave preference of rational thinking over hadith, Imam Muhammad bin Ali, after hearing these three things, remember the first thing was, what was the first one? Woman or man? Who was weaker? Who's the weaker one? Second one was do with hayd, to make up salah or to make up fasting. And the third one was this semen or urine. Imam Muhammad bin Ali, astonished, fascinated at the Imam's thinking, he immediately stood up, kissed the Imam's forehead, and then he said, there's very few people like you. You are the receptacle of ilm. You are the receptacle of knowledge. I completely misunderstood who you were. So there was a lot of misunderstanding about who Imam Abu Hanifa was, especially in this regards. Many people, until today, there are fitna mongers that think that Imam Abu Hanifa gives preference. In fact, Imam Abu Hanifa gives preference to da'if hadith. Da'if hadith. And we have proofs, one after the other, within our fiqh books. Like the qahqaha, the one who laughs out loud in salah. His wudu breaks. According to many of the ulama, many of the muhaddithin, that hadith is weak. His salah breaks plus his wudu breaks. Anyone who laughs out loud in salah. But Imam Abu Hanifa applied it. Why? He said, it is better for me to make amal upon a da'if hadith rather than, of course, to him it might not have been weak. Allahu alam, the change that he had, because he was very early, very senior. But the point is, Imam Abu Hanifa, I want you to understand how he thinks. He was not no normal human being. Allah accepted him because he was not normal. Allah created this human being for us. That's why when you say these great giants, when you speak about these great giants, why do we speak about these great giants? Allah says, فَقْصُصِ الْقَصَصَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ in regards to the prophets. Talk about the stories of the prophets in order that you start thinking and pondering and making your mind clear of how much effort they put into this theme, why they were selected, how they were selected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you talk about these great humans that existed and that came to us with such lanterns of guidance, automatically your iman is renewed, automatically your iman is rejuvenated. Allahu Akbar. And we all wish to be from amongst his followers on the day of Qiyamah, and inshallah through them, through their shafa'ah, just like a Hafiz Sab makes a shafa'ah of 10 members of his family. Hadith of Tirmidhi, isn't it? 10 Hafiz Sab makes shafa'ah, intercession of 10 members of his family that are destined, list of Jahannam, destined for Jahannam. They're in the list of Jahannamiyun. He takes them out. Of course, this is a Hafiz Sab that is a real Hafiz Sab. Probably not like us. A real Hafiz Sab. Yes? Allahu Akbar. So, inshallah, let's go on to the next one. Let's go into the next one. Next one. A man buried some treasure of his, a lot of treasure, somewhere. Doesn't remember where now. It was a long time ago, probably years and years ago. Maybe 10, 20, 50 years. Allahu A'lam. How many years? It doesn't mention. The narration doesn't mention. He buried this treasure. He completely forgot about it. Now he's worried sick. He went and searched everywhere. He dug so many places. He can't find anything. Doesn't know where to go. Perturbed as he is, he came to Imam Abu Hanifah. He said, what should I do? I have a lot of treasure. It's been buried somewhere. I don't remember the exact place where it was buried. It was so long ago, I can't remember. Imam Abu Hanifah said, look, this is not a mas'ala of fiqh. I am someone who solves problems that you have in day-to-day life. This is not a mas'ala to do with fiqh. He said, go and spend the entire night in prayer. This is what the Imam said. Go and spend the entire night in voluntary prayer. The person, as he is, he's a simple person. Listen to the Imam as the Imam said. He took his advice. He's like, okay, if you're not going to solve my problem, at least let me listen to your advice. He took the advice. He went off. He started praying. After 1/4 of the night went, immediately what does Shaitan do? Shaitan wants you to pray more. Eh? After 1/4 of the night, immediately the Shaitan made waswas and told him exactly where that place is, where he buried the treasure. He came back next morning to Imam Abu Hanifa. He says, you told me to pray the entire night, but after 1/4 of the night, Shaitan came to me in Salah and told me exactly where the place is, and I went and, alhamdulillah, found my treasure. He was excited. Imam Abu Hanifa said, I knew that the Shaitan would not let you pray the whole night. If only you prayed out of thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the whole night. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. How amazing, eh? The next one we go on to is a very tough one. Some people came to Imam Abu Hanifa. They asked him regarding a person, what is your opinion regarding a person who does not hope Jannah? This one is already took you to the back seat. He does not hope for Jannah. Number 2, he's not afraid of the hellfire. All these qualities, already you know, are not the qualities of a believer, is it? Number 3, he prays prayers that are without sujood and without ruku and without sujood. You don't know what's going on, isn't it? He prays prayer without ruku and without sujood. Our salah is with ruku and with sujood, isn't it? Muslims' prayer is with ruku and with sujood. Next one, he testifies, meaning he gives testimony of things which he never ever seen before. Are you allowed to give testimony of something which you didn't see? You say someone got robbed when he didn't get robbed. When someone stole, he didn't steal. Can you give? Not allowed. Absolutely haram. He dislikes haqq. He dislikes the truth. The last one, loves fitna. Allah. Students of Imam Abu Hanifa heard this and they were like, this is a very difficult situation. This is a problematic situation. How are we going to get out of this? We think these are the qualities of a disbeliever. These are the apparent qualities of a disbeliever, and we fear upon his faith. That's the logical thinking behind it. Imam Abu Hanifa said, this person's situation is not difficult. Look at the way, Allah. Look at how he takes things. We take it in one way, he takes it in another way. Completely different. Angles that Imam Abu Hanifa, in every single scenario, scrutinizes. Absolutely phenomenal. For a normal human to think like that is impossible. I would say impossible. Look at this. This person's situation is not difficult. Not a kafir. Not a kafir. The first situation. Answer Imam Abu Hanifa gives. He said, as for the first person who doesn't wish or hope for Jannah, but he looks forward to meeting Allah. He doesn't look forward to Jannah because there's no guarantee. But he knows the guarantee of meeting Allah again. He must go and meet Allah again. So he does not hope for Jannah. You understand? Number two, he doesn't fear the fire. He fears who? He is the one who created. He is the one who created the fire. He does not hope for Jannah. Why? Because he hopes to meet Allah. He does not fear the fire because why? He knows the owner of the fire. He fears Allah himself. Number three. Answer to number three. He doesn't fear injustice and unfairness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said that he doesn't fear Allah. Here it means he doesn't fear the injustice and the unfairness from Allah's side of the day of Qiyamah. Number four. Sorry, I missed number four. I missed one of the points there. That he eats animals, he eats the meat of animals without slaughtering it. The Islamic way. Also another problematic one, isn't it? Imam Abu Hanifa said, eats fish and fruits and vegetables and whatever other thing which is allowed. Eats that which does not need to be slaughtered, the Islamic way. Meaning he doesn't eat, maybe he's someone who refrains from meat out of his zuhud. Many ulama, they had zuhud in them. They used to maybe became vegetarians or nowadays terminology, isn't it? He eats fish and that which does not need to be slaughtered. Then the next one, he prays a salah that has no ruku and sujood. So he prays Salatul Janazah. Then on others. Salatul Janazah has ruku and sujood. No ruku and sujood. Look at the answer there. Or fifth answer. Sixth answer. He believes and he gives testimony to that which he never saw. Never saw before. He believes in Allah and he believes in Rasulullah. He's never ever seen. He believes in the unseen. Allah. This is the answer to the sixth question. Seventh question was, he dislikes the haqq. He dislikes the haqq. He dislikes the truth. What does truth mean here? Means, Imam Abu Hanifa said, means maut. Everyone dislikes maut, isn't it? Because this is the haqq. Maut is haqq. Al-mautu haqqun. So of course he dislikes haqq, which is death, and it is certain. It is absolutely certain. And number 8, he loves fitna. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Innama amwalukum wa awladukum fitna. Your wealth and your children are fitna. He loves wealth and children. This is the natural inclination of every human being. Allahu Akbar. The questioner stood up. He kissed the forehead of, this is very similar to Muhammad bin Ali radiallahu anhu. He stood up, he kissed the forehead of Abu Hanifa and he left. He said, you are absolutely amazing. Your ilm is absolutely amazing. You are like none other. Nobody was able to answer such questions. How would you think like this? How would you think like this? What a mind thinks like this? In a situation where there's 7 points that this person is a blatant kafir, apparently. Isn't it? Blatant kafir, apparently. Every single one has another explanation. Never judge too quickly. Why Imam Abu Hanifa came to a certain conclusion, and why didn't he get the apparent conclusion that is in hadith? Now, many people have this issue. That's why we are saying that Imam Abu Hanifa, he looks at things in such a dimension which you and me will never be able to figure out. In every single mas'ala. And not only him, the madhab is not just him. 40 panel of scholars discussing with 40 people. Imam Shafi'i never had this. Imam Malik never had this. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal never had this. Before answering a question, he has to be discussed with 40 of the elite scholars of Kufa before they come to a conclusion, before they write down the fatwa and issue the fatwa. This was how the Hanafi madhab was created. Allah. So, Imam Abu Hanifa, what do we learn from this lesson? What we learn is, don't be quick to judge another person to be a disbeliever. We know which group is out there, making kufr and tafsiq and tabdi' and making everyone bid'atis and making everyone kafirs and making everyone fasiqs. Nowadays, this is a great fitna. Internet as well as out of the internet within Saudi and many other countries nowadays. Spread like wildfire. But making Muslims disbelievers is the quality of the Khawarij. And we're going to go through Khawarij just now. I'll give you a story of Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Abu Hanifa, before he became the faqih that we know, the problem solver, I'm going to keep it in simple terms, he was the problem solver of the whole ummah. Before he became the problem solver, he was the master in Aqidah. In Aqidah. That's why we went through those logical questions first. From the Christian, came with such questions, how do you answer them? Now, Abu Hanifa was a master in ilmul kalam. He was a master in Aqidah. He used to go and answer again and again. He went 26. He says, I went 27 times to Basra, the city of Basra. Probably in one of the vicinity of Baghdad or Iraq somewhere. 27 times I traveled there, to the point that these people, they were scared of me. Every time I used to go, they used to get scared of me. Because he gave such answers with such sharp wittedness. Unbelievable. On the spot, he could give answers that would completely just dumbfound anyone and everyone. Allahu. Let's go to the Khawarij. Khawarij were a sect from the early times. They believed a person who committed a major sin is a kafir, out of the world of Islam. Imam Abu Hanifa, look at how many excuses he made. He already made, for the previous story, he made 7 excuses for the person not to become a kafir. He's not a kafir. He says, I will make, in another narration, he says, For a believer, I will make 99 excuses, if possibly 100 excuses. I will never call, this is not my duty. This is from one of the hadiths that he narrates directly from a Sahabi. He narrated 16 narrations directly from Sahaba. There is no tabi'i. There is no, there is none of the Imams that narrated directly from the Sahaba except Abu Hanifa. Except Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam al-A'zam, the greatest of all the Imams. So he narrated directly from the Sahaba. From the Sahaba. Approximately 16 narrations. One of them is similar to this, where he will make excuses for the believer and he will not make a believer into a disbeliever ever. Anyone who claims to have La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, I can't. My duty. My duty is a scholar. I don't know what Allah knows of that person. I don't know what he's hiding inside his heart. Allahu A'lam. So, let's go on to the Khawarij. These Khawarij were people who love to make people disbelievers. Love to shun people. They used to think they're so pious that everyone else is going to Jahannam and they're going to Jannah. My way or the highway? Allah. So, let's start inshallah. He came to the majlis. So Imam Abu Hanifa is teaching just like here. Came to the majlis of Imam Abu Hanifa. Whole group of 70 came with their swords unsheathed, rushing into the crowd onto the throat of Imam Abu Hanifa. They want to kill him. Imam Abu Hanifa, in front of the students, all the students are here. 70, whole group of 70 came with swords unsheathed. Come and kill him on the mimbar. What's his teaching? We not just have a dialogue. Whatever questions that you have, you may ask me before you want to. Said, Imam Abu Hanifa said, your swords back inside. Let's have a discussion. Let's see what the problem is. Let's see where we go wrong. They said, we came with the swords in order to make the whole thing flow with your blood. We didn't came to put and say, he said, okay, leave it. Ask. Ask whatever you want to ask. The first question. What is your opinion regarding two funerals? A funeral of a man who drank wine until he passed away. Drank wine until he passed away. The second one, the funeral of a woman who committed adultery, zina, until she passed away. These two, in the sight of the Sharia, they are major sinners. Major sinners. Both of them are major sinners, according to all the Muslims. Imam Abu Hanifa was clever. The janaza of the drinker and the janaza of the adulteress. Imam Abu Hanifa said, which religion do they associate, do they claim to be from? The Christians, the Jews, the Sabians? Who? Which religion? Which religion do they claim to be? Did they claim to be during their lifetime? They answered, the group which claim La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Imam Abu Hanifa said, okay, agree to that. The Shahada, this Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah, this Shahada, Iman, does it have quarters? Does it have 1/3? Does it have 1/6? How many parts is Iman? He said, Iman doesn't have parts. It has branches. You know that Iman has branches. Branches is different. We're talking about Iman itself. Belief and non-belief. Belief is something you have or you don't have, isn't it? Either you believe in Allah and Rasulullah, either you don't believe in Allah and Rasulullah. One of the two. Can't be half-half. So, he said, Iman, how many portions is it in? Is it a third of faith, a quarter of faith? They replied, Iman doesn't have parts. Iman is Iman. Imam Abu Hanifa said, when Iman doesn't have parts, these two believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So are these, he's asking them, are these believers or non-believers? You're completely, like, he just got stuck here. Do you understand what just happened? Eh? Do you understand what just happened? You got stuck here. Iman doesn't have portions, so therefore, it's either they have Iman or they don't have Iman. They died upon Iman or they didn't die upon Iman. Iman cannot be cut into pieces. Iman doesn't have portions. So therefore, they died as believers. Now they don't want to answer. They're like, okay, leave this question. Let's go to the next question. Let's ask you another question. Allahu Akbar. This is what they do. When they know that they failed in the argument, this is what they do. They, okay. Are these two people from the people of Jannah, or are these two people from the people of Jahannam? The question requires another answer, isn't it? The major sinners, are they from Jannah or are they from Jahannam? First, we established that they are believers. They claim that they are not from Jews, they are not from the Christians, they are not from the Syrians. They're from those who say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Now, they're from the people of Jannah. They diverted the question because they knew the answer is they are mu'mins, they are believers. Said, okay, are they Jannatis or Jahannamis? Now Imam Abu Hanifah says, I say what Ibrahim alayhi salam said to those who are much, much greater in sin and defiance of Allah. فَمَنْ تَبِعَنِي فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي وَمَنْ عَصَانِي فَإِنَّكَ غَفُورٌ. Whoever follows me, meaning Ibrahim alayhi salam in the Quran, whoever follows me, فَمَنْ تَبِعَنِي فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي, he is from me, he will be from my ummah, he will go to Jannah. وَمَنْ عَصَانِي, and whosoever disobeys me, فَإِنَّكَ غَفُورٌ. This is what this is talking about, someone who's disbelieved in Ibrahim alayhi salam. This is great, you know, great level of disobedience, much greater than this, than drinking alcohol and fornication, isn't it? Adultery. I also say, he gave one ayah, he gave the second ayah as well. He said, I also say what Isa alayhi salam said to his people that were much greater in sin than these two. In tu'adhibhum fa innahum ibad. If you punish them, then they are your slave. If you decide, Ya Allah, to punish these, then it is up to you. When it is up to you, then in tu'adhibhum fa innahum ibaduk wa in taghfir lahum fa innaka antal azizul hakim. If you wish to forgive them, then you are the Almighty, the All-Wise. We don't know your plans. You are great. Your wisdom is absolute. It's not like our wisdom. Allahu Akbar. The next story we have, inshallah. One of the great students of Ibn Abbas. Makkah was one of the hubs of ilm as well. Okay? Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he went to Makkah. And we know Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu is the Mufassir al-Quran that Rasulullah made special du'as for. He tapped his chest and he made special du'as for. Allahumma faqihhu fi din wa allimhu ta'wil. Oh Allah, give him deep understanding in religion and give him the true interpretation of, deep interpretation of the verses of the Quran. Okay? Ibn Abbas was situated in Makkah. He had students. From the famous students, one of them was Qatada ibn Di'ama. This doesn't mention inside the book. I'm just saying. Just background. Qatada, great scholar from Makkah, someone who studied under the greatest scholar of the Sahaba, one of the greatest Sahaba, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He came to Kufa. Automatically, everyone gave him a pulpit. Everyone gave him the mimbar. You need to come and, answer our questions. We want to ask you the questions. You're the Shaykh al-Islam, as we understand. He came, he sat on the mimbar, he said, ask me whatever you feel like of fiqh. Ask me whatever you feel like of fiqh. Amongst the students was Imam Abu Hanifah. When you have Imam Abu Hanifa amongst your students, you're going to have questions unlike any other questions. Okay? Imam Abu Hanifa said, what happens if a woman is married, husband leaves her and goes away without any, you don't know where he's gone. He's mafqood, he's totally lost. He's never contacted me, nothing happened. I don't know where he is for years and years and years now. What should I do in that situation? Umar radiallahu anhu's fatwa was only 4 years. After the span of 4 years, if there's no contact at all, you don't know where he is, there's no contact, there's nothing, like as if he's dead. Okay? He's completely disappeared. Umar radiallahu anhu's fatwa was, after 4 years, the woman waits for 4 years, a maximum of 4 years. Then she starts the qadi, or the judge, the court, the case will be presented to the court, and the court will say, after the 4th year, wait for your 4 months and 10 days, which is the mourning period of a deceased person who's died. You wait for your 4 months and 10 days after your 4 years, khalas, you get married after your iddah, after your 4 months and 10 days. I said, okay, that's what your fatwa is, fine. No, Abu Hanifa said, what if that husband that went missing comes back? She got married to another man now. After that 4 years and then the 4 months, 10 days, she decided to get married to another man. He has to survive somehow. What needs to look after her? She needs to have a guardian. She married the second husband. First husband comes back. What's the solution? Who does she go to? The first one or the second one? Do you understand the question? Highly problematic question. Now, how do you solve such a thing? Allahu Akbar. He got angry. He said, leave you and your questions. Leave you and your questions. He got angry. Now, what is the answer? Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad, according to them, she stays with the second one. I'm only giving this from my own. Yeah? It doesn't come out in the book. I'm only giving you the answer because I don't want to leave you hanging. You're going to think, why did he even mention this? Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad, the opinion is she stays, even if the first husband comes back, she stays with the second husband. Whereas the opinion of Ali radiallahu anhu, Uthman radiallahu anhu, and Imam Abu Hanifa, Ali, Uthman, and Imam Abu Hanifa, they say no, she goes back to the first husband. Goes back to the first husband. Now, something to distinguish is 4 years is a limit to a person who's completely lost, according to Imam Malik, not according to us, not according to Imam Abu Hanifa. Abu Hanifa doesn't have this rule. Abu Hanifa says over 90 years, meaning you have to be absolutely definitive that this man passed away. Otherwise, how could you otherwise the second marriage would be absolute zina. Understand? Second marriage would become zina. Because you don't know, maybe he's gone to jihad or somewhere far and he's not able to contact you in any way or form. Back in the days, they never had this level of communication that we do. Okay, a person could go out in the wilderness. Sure, you know the great story of the great jihad, one of the Sahaba that went for jihad. Years and years and years, he left behind a huge amount of money. The woman, the Sahabiya, she invested all that money in her child to become an alim, great alim. So he came back after years and years, and his house changed, everything changed, his appearance changed, he's all old, he's got gray hair now, he's a completely different person. He comes back and Rabi'atul Ra'i, yeah, that's the one. Rabi'atul Ra'i. It doesn't come into my mind. Rabi'atul Ra'i. He comes to the house, he's astonished. It's like he asks, nobody realizes it. he started a fight. The son started a fight because he's like, "How are you intruding upon my house? This is my house." He's like, "No, this is my house." The father's saying, "This is my house. I left my house." The son's like, then the mother came out and she realized that your father's here. This is your father. Later on, he didn't ask yet where the money went. All the money. What did you do with all the money? It was a huge question. It wasn't a normal amount of money. It was a huge, huge amount of money. He avoided that question. He avoided that question. This is another story. Just don't mind me. I'm going to carry on with the Imam Hanifah stories. Later on in that evening, he went to the masjid and he was the child. Now he's a scholar. He was giving a lecture from the mimbar. Thousands of people are attending his lecture. He's the most knowledgeable of his time at that time. Whilst he was giving the lectures, his father came in from the far, far away from the inside the masjid from far. He couldn't see exactly who was the actual lecturer. He sat down, he's listening to the lecture. After the lecture finished, he went home. He asked the question again. What did you do with all the money that I left behind? He said, you know that scholar that was giving the lecture, that's your son. He invested all of that in Allah's path. Make him a great scholar of Deen. He was happy. Like, Allah Akbar. That's such an amazing wife that made single-handedly make. Imam Shafi'i was the same. Single-handedly became Imam Shafi'i. Father passed away, isn't he? We'll go into them inshallah later. Another question with Aqidah. Imam Abu Hanifa was with one of the Greeks, Ata ibn Abi Rabah, the Mufti of Makkah. The Mufti of Makkah. The head of Qatada ibn Di'ama, the student of Ibn Abbas. This is also another. Ata ibn Abi Rabah was the Mufti of Makkah. There's no Muftis. No one is allowed to give fatwa when Ata is there in Makkah. It's the government rule. No one can surpass Ata. Okay? Ata ibn Abi Rabah is there, the Mufti of Makkah. Imam Abu Hanifa is there. Imam Abu Hanifa asks a question to a person. Are you a believer? Maybe he saw something. He had a doubt maybe. Are you a believer? The person said, I hope I'm a believer. I wish. I hope that I'm a believer. That's what a lot of people would say. You know? Or maybe he said it out of, why I'm saying is because maybe he said it out of, some people think they're too pious. They're too pious and righteous. They start using humility and humbleness to another degree. Those type of people. I hope I'm a believer. Imam Abu Hanifa got angry. He said, will you answer inside your grave when Munkar and Nakir ask you the question, are you a believer? Are you going to say, I hope I'm a believer? The person understood. He repented and he made maaf. He asked for forgiveness. He said, truly I understood what you mean. I'm not going to say that again. You're a believer, say you're a believer. Be happy, be proud. Of course you're a believer. There's nothing to hide. Inshallah, we'll stop with the last story here. Tell or not to tell. This was a story where a person came to Imam Abu Hanifa. His house got robbed. His house got robbed. Thieves came into his house. They started taking whatever they could, rushing out of the house. He recognized the face of one of the thieves. He recognized the face of that person that was getting robbed. He recognized the face of one of the thieves. And he was a regular musalli in the masjid, in his local masjid. Imagine the thieves even pray. Long, but that was the time that they lived in. Even the thieves and the robbers, even they used to come and pray 5 times a day. Remember, in the time of Rasulullah, even the munafiqeen used to come and pray behind Rasulullah 5 times a day. Not 4 times a day, not 3 times a day, 5 times a day in the masjid. In Masjid al-Nabawi. That's why Rasulullah used to recite the second rakat of Jumu'ah, إِذَا جَاءَكَ الْمُنَافِقُونَ, Surah Munafiqun, in order to rebuke them, in order to give them a, head up, notch, fix yourselves, become real believers. Anyway, here, thieves. He recognized the face of them. So now that guy, he started beating him up immediately. You recognize my face, I'm going to be in trouble now. The Khalif finds out, I'm going to be in jail and I'm going to be beaten up in jail. Big problem. So he beat this guy up and he said, look, if you expose me, the thief, you expose me, then make a qasam on Allah's name. Take an oath in Allah's name. That, number one, your wife will be divorced. Number two, all your slaves will be free. And number three, everything that you possess will become sadaqah. Everything that you possess will become sadaqah, charity, the path of Allah. Now, what are the conditions? He forced him to take an oath on these three. Divorce his wife, free all his slaves, and all his money into charity. What's the conditions? If you mention my name or inform anyone regarding me, pointing with your finger and pointing with your head as well. Even ishara with your head is not allowed. If he does this, then he breaks his oath. Now, when someone takes an oath, now remember that people never took oath very lightly. Nowadays, unfortunately, we have a culture where you say, Wallahi, 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 Billahi. That wasn't the culture then. Okay? They understood when you take the name of Allah, you take a qasam in the name of Allah, it's very severe. He's in big trouble. Came running to Imam Hanifah. He knows he's the problem solver of the ummah. He went to this person, he went to that person, he went to great ulama. No solution. Nobody knows what to do. How are you going to solve this problem? So, Imam Abu Hanifa said, okay, go, you come here. You send your brother, or you send someone that you trust dearly, surely, that won't mess you around. He sent his brother. Okay, this is someone who I trust. Send your brother to the Caliph and tell him this is what happened. The brother will go and explain what happened. Not himself. The brother will go and explain what happened. Tell him to send an assistant with you. And wait at the door of the masjid. After the salah finishes, make sure no one is allowed to get out of the masjid. Make sure no one is allowed to get out of the masjid. Everyone is besieged inside the masjid. One by one, allow them to leave. So the assistant of the Sultan, the Amir, the Caliph, will say, now remember the conditions. Conditions are there, yeah? You're not allowed to inform anyone of who the person is. You're not allowed to indicate towards who he is, and you're not allowed to even nod with your head of who he is. Now Abu Hanifa, he made this plan. He said, okay, bring the assistant to the masjid, besiege the people inside the masjid after salah. And then, when each person is there next to the assistant, tell the person who got robbed. Yeah? Say, no, it's not him. No, it's not him. No, it's not him. No, it's not him. Okay? They let him off. They let him off. Whoever's not the person, they let him off. But when it comes to the person who did it, let him remain absolutely calm, looking down, doing nothing. So they eventually they caught hold of the person who he didn't indicate. He still kept his oath. That means he kept his wife, he kept his slaves, and he kept all of his wealth, alhamdulillah, through a plan that was plotted by Imam Abu Hanifa. no one could solve, no Imam could solve. Allahu Akbar. So later on, this person, after he was caught hold of, he was taken to the Sultan, he was imprisoned, he was jailed, he was beaten, and he exposed all the names of the rest of the thieves. Allahu Akbar. So this was the wittedness, the sharp-wittedness of Imam Abu Hanifa. And inshallah, we'll continue with the rest of the stories on this book. I love this book. Believe me, the moment I read this book, I kept on reading it until I finished it. The day that I read this book, I'd done it maybe 5-6 times already now. It's an absolutely amazing book. I'll give it on my channel, inshallah. Even on Baitul Aman channel, I'll try to give it on Baitul Aman channel as well. Shaykh Zamil Hussain. If you go to my channel, every single time I give a lecture, I do it through books. That's why I have this style. Okay, I don't want to give it out of something that you can't go back to. And for references, all the references are there. Some of the biography books of Imam Abu Hanifa, Khayratul Hisan by Ibn Hajar al-Makki, Uqud al-Juman by Muhammad bin Yusuf, Tabiyid al-Sahifa by Imam Suyuti, and al-Manaqib by Qurduri. Many of the Shafi'i scholars, Ibn Hajar al-Makki is a Shafi'i scholar, Imam Suyuti is a Shafi'i scholar. They wrote books on defense of misconceptions of people, what they had. Many of the scholars, we're not talking about normal people, we're talking about scholars that had problems with Imam Abu Hanifa because of the way he used to think. And one of them we saw ourselves, Muhammad bin Ali. He said, you give preference over qiyas, you give preference of hadith over qiyas, isn't it? And you saw the answers, how he explained to them simply. Inshallah, Allah give us tawfiq to benefit more from the geniusness of such individuals and resurrect us on the day of Qiyamah with them, inshallah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu.